G'day legends, I hope you're all amazing. Welcome to another installment of 5 Killer Riffs. This is an episode I've been wanting to do for a long time because we're going to take a look at 5 Killer Riffs by the legend Ronnie James Dio and the band Dio. Let's just get straight into this and start with the opening track from the first Dio album. You know this one, and it is so fun to play. Stand Up and Shout is such a statement track, especially after Dio had just come out of Black Sabbath. I'm sure some people probably wrote him off when it came to having a solo band that was still relevant, and this one just screams straight out of the gate. Furthermore, you've got a young Vivian Campbell just playing some of the most fiery rhythm and lead guitar on here. I often just go back to this entire album just to remind myself why I fell in love with rock and metal guitar in the first place, and I could have chosen any of the tracks on this album, but I feel like if you like rock guitar, you like Dio, you should know how to play this one. You're basically just screaming along on that open A string, and there's some inverted power chords on the D and the G string, fret 5, which is a C, fret 4, which is a B, and fret 7, which is a D. Adding a little bit of vibrato to those chords and even trying to hit them the way you would hit a pinched harmonic just adds that extra aggression in there that Viv uses so much. And I distinctly remember getting a DVD that came out from that Holy Diver tour where they open with this song. I remember sitting down at a buddy's house, putting it on and going, oh, what did Dio sound like live back in the day? And we both looked at each other and we were like, oh my God. Next up, we've got the first Dio song that I ever heard, and this one might be slightly surprising. It's the opening track for the Lock Up the Wolves album. This one's called Wild One, and it's got a 17-year-old Rowan Robertson on lead guitar. It sounds like this. I have such a fond memory of saying to my dad that I just heard the Rainbow Rising album and there's this guy called Ronnie James Dio on it and he's like the best singer ever. My dad turns around and looks at me and goes, I think I've got a Dio album on CD, and he fishes out Lock Up the Wolves. I put it on, I was blown away by the guitar playing, the guitar sound on there, Dio's vocals. It was just so exciting hearing that song like explode out of the speakers, and Rowan's soloing on that album is so mature, his rhythm playing is so tight, and he's got this amazing sound. In fact, Lock Up the Wolves might be my favorite sounding Dio album from a production standpoint. I also remember thinking to myself, hey, some of these riffs kind of sound like Black Sabbath. Isn't that weird? You know, I didn't have the internet on me at all times then. I didn't know that Dio was in Black Sabbath. So that was also pretty mind-blowing later on down the track, connecting all those dots. But this riff, you know, it's like a fast-paced E Dorian sort of thing in here. This is how I play it. There's a couple of variations on there that are fairly straightforward to work out. I have seen other people play this in a different way where you might slide up to the A note and then hit an open D and an open A on there. I worked this one out by ear years ago, so that one's just kind of coded in as muscle memory. I'm not sure if that's how Rowan plays it, but what an amazing player to be able to not only just audition for a band like Dio at that age to record an entire album and just had the touch, had the tone, and it would have been awesome to see and hear what could have happened with that collaboration between those two. Now, it's certainly no coincidence that two of my favorite guitar players of all time and two of my biggest influences played in Dio. Vivian Campbell, we've heard some Viv riffs, and Doug Aldrich. Doug also played with Whitesnake, with Lion, Hurricane, Burning Rain, so many other artists. I've tracked down just about everything Doug has done because Doug Aldrich, to me, plays rock guitar the way I want to be able to play rock guitar, and I still can't get close. But for me, I had to put a Doug song on here. The album Killing the Dragon has some really awesome tracks and riffs, but the title track really channels that like Dungeons and Dragons thing that Dio lent into so much lyrically, and it really reminds me of a cool cross between Old Rainbow and Old Sabbath, but it just sounds mega chunky. Let's hear it. This track's in G minor. The guitar parts on here are layered really nicely, and I chose to record one part that sticks essentially to power chords and single notes like this. Getting the Doug pinched harmonics in there, you know, really reminds you of players like Zakk Wylde and John Sykes. Of course, Doug's been doing this stuff since the 80s and is a guitar legend in his own right, in my opinion. Then there's kind of more the rainbow-influenced part in there where we're playing the same chord outlines, but we're using these Blackmore-style dyads or fourths on there with a couple of slight tweaks in there. So like this. Next, let's go back to the Holy Diver album, and there's so many great riffs to pick from, but this track is particularly close to my heart. It's called Straight Through the Heart. I love how heavy this one sounds. It's got this mid-tempo groove happening, and there's a lot of space, there's a lot of dynamics. It just hits. It's a classic Viv riff. It's in the most metal of all keys, F sharp minor. So again, I chose to play a more traditional power chord part in there like this. And I doubled it with inverted power chords on there for a little bit of that Blackmore vibe. To finish up, let's have a listen to the title track from the Last in Line album, in particular, the outro riff, because this is everything that I love about Ronnie James Dio and the music that he made. It's so over the top and epic. It's got this cinematic feeling. Some of the guitar parts bring to mind classic tunes like Led Zeppelin's Kashmir or Rainbow's Stargazer. Oh, this one just makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up every time I hear it. Absolutely glorious, right? And I like how well orchestrated the guitars are on here. The main guitar part is just playing an A power chord in that second position. Then we have a G power chord on the D and the G string. We drop the G note down to F sharp, so that creates a D/F sharp chord. Then we've got an F power chord, and we do the same trick where we take the root note down by a semitone. So the chords are going A with that little rhythm on there. Then we've got a G power chord, a D/F sharp, an F power chord, and a C/E. And then if you play inversions but stick to playing on the D and the G string, you actually get some very similar chords to Kashmir. It's obviously a different rhythm, but those similarities in there, pretty interesting, right? This was so much fun to put together. I probably could have chosen 50 Killer Dio riffs to put together on a video. So I want to hear from all of you. What's your favorite Dio song, your favorite Dio riff, or your favorite Dio vocal moment, either from the band or with Ronnie's work with Rainbow or Black Sabbath? And who's your favorite Dio guitar player? Let me know in the comment section below. And what I'm going to do is, because we just heard that part from Last in Line, and because Dio was such a big influence on me, I want to play you all a little part of a track from my band, Ragdoll, called Shine. And you can very clearly hear the Dio influence right at the end of this track. I'll play you all out on this one. If you want to check it out, it's linked in the video description. And if you like this kind of video, consider supporting me on Patreon. Have a good one. Go and play your guitars, play some Dio riffs, and I'll see you on the next one.